that we know for sure is in less than 3 weeks, these rankings are going to change. The current college football playoff rankings show LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia as the 4 playoff teams as of today. But 1 and 4 are going to play each other in a couple weeks, and the Buckeyes have 2, possibly 3, highly ranked opponents ahead of them. Perhaps we're going to see a little chaos in the weeks to come. We'll know for sure December 8th when the final 4 teams are announced. Until then, it's time for debate. I'm Jared Smalley. Thanks for joining us live here across Nexstar Nation, our Nexstar family of stations for the Gridiron Nation. Path to the playoff, we're calling it. We're going to check in with experts all across the country here today, following the schools with the best chance to play for it all in January. And we're going to start at the top of the rankings, the #1 team in the country, the LSU Tigers. And boy, that offense is something special in Baton Rouge. #2 total in scoring offense in the country, near 48 points per game this year. Perhaps the likely Heisman Trophy winner there. Quarterback Joe Burrow continues to put up comical numbers, 38 passing touchdowns against just 6 picks, 3rd in the country in passing efficiency. And to talk more about the Tigers this year, we head live to New Orleans. We'll talk with Ed Daniels there, the legendary sports director at WGNO TV there. All right, Ed. Tigers disposing of Ole Miss Saturday. They rolled up points on Alabama a couple weeks ago. Joe Burrow is a major factor in this offense as to why this offense has bloomed so much this year. But there's more to it than that, obviously. Why is this offense so difficult to guard?
Well, I think one of the things that they do very well, Jared, is they spread the field, and they have a good scheme. And Joe Brady, the passing game coordinator who came from the Saints, certainly helped with that. But also, let's look at who Joe Burrow is throwing to. Jamar Chase, very much going to be a #1 pick. I would say Terrace Marshall has a chance to be a #1 pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire may be coming out for the NFL draft this year, and he is a very good player. Thaddeus Moss, the tight end, is outstanding. Lloyd Cushenberry, the center, is going to play in the NFL. So Joe Burrow may be the first pick in the draft, but he is not alone. I think when you look at LSU, you're looking at a group of players, a lot of them who are going to play and going to be very successful in the National Football League. You're
right, Ed. And while Edwards-Helaire was outstanding in the Alabama game, of course, defensively for LSU, look, it's a bunch of 5-star studs out there. We know that. But the defense maybe has not dominated the way we thought they might this year. So far, 47th in the country in total defense. They're 78th in passing yards allowed. So how concerned, Ed, are they about having to keep outscoring people?
Well, you know, I think that is a concern because if you look at total defense right now in the FBS this week, Ohio State is 1, Clemson is 2, Georgia is 6, and LSU is 47. So there's a long way from 6 to 47. I think that's a big concern. But look, I'm not surprised by this, and I'll tell you why. Before the season, the MO on LSU was very good secondary, very good at the linebacker position, defensive line pretty good but okay. And I think that's how it's played out. I think their defensive line has a lot of players who got a lot of hype out of high school, but frankly are good players, not great. They don't have anybody anchoring that defensive line who's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft, like Alabama seems to have all of these years. So I'm not surprised by LSU's defensive line. I think really at this point they've played almost to their scouting report.
Interesting. All right, Ed. One last thing here for you. You're in New Orleans. You're New Orleans born and bred. The national championship game is coming to New Orleans this year. We were back there in 2008 when LSU played Ohio State, that BCS final in New Orleans. The city was electric. Remember it fondly. So obviously LSU's having a great year. And how has the strength of LSU's season driven the local interest in that game this year?
Well, I can tell you that in the second quarter, I got a text message from my oldest daughter telling me to make sure that I have a ticket for her for the championship game. So if that's any barometer, I think it's, you know, it's insane, and it's going to be an unbelievably difficult ticket because look what happened. 2004, January 2004, LSU, Oklahoma for the championship. LSU, Ohio State for the championship January of 2008. And, of course, January of 2012, it was LSU and Alabama. So it's almost surreal when you look at the fact that LSU has a great chance to get to the championship game again, and once again, it's in New Orleans. It's really kind of an amazing little outlier, little stat from this run to the playoffs.
Yeah, what a scene that would be on Bourbon Street if that does come together. Ed Daniels there in New Orleans. Thanks so much for joining us today, Ed. Appreciate that. Now, the road ahead for LSU, basically that SEC championship game is going to be their major hurdle. Of course, that's likely against Georgia. Arkansas this week, A&M next week, both in Baton Rouge. The number 2 team in the country, Joe Burrow's former school, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and they are cruising. They've won every game by at least 24 points. The last team to do that, Nebraska, 1971. That team won the national title. And for a team which could not stop anybody last year, they're stopping everyone this year. Number 1 scoring defense, number 1 pass defense in the country. That pairs awfully nicely with an offense racking up 52 points per game. That is the most in America. And we bring in here in studio former Ohio State assistant coach and recruiting coordinator Bill Conley to talk about the Ohio State season so far. Rutgers game this past Saturday went exactly like you thought it would. Yep. It was dominance with a little bit of disinterest mixed in there, but in reality, the season, Bill, starts Saturday with Penn State visiting. You know the players, this is what they've been waiting for 10 weeks to finally get to this part.
Right, this is the first red letter game to that road to finish up to get to the playoffs. Yeah. And you know, Penn State, like Ohio State, has a lot of talent. They've got some experience, both sides of the ball, and there's some youth to sprinkle in there. With Penn State, especially at the offensive skill positions. But a really fine football team. It'll be a battle up front for sure. And, you know, Ryan Day said yesterday in his news conference that this is the first time this year that Ohio State will play a team with an equal amount of talent to which they have. Talent is equated, which makes his message of the team here pretty clear this week.
Your talent no longer matters. And so those are the things, and we got to do a good job putting a good game plan together, let the guys play, and then prepare them to go, and then the team who's more prepared will win the game.
Try to make practice as hard as possible to where we're able to simulate the fourth quarter the best that we can within practice to see how guys are going to respond then.
So the Buckeyes will be all in this week in terms of intensity. And obviously, it's not just from a competitive standpoint. There's an emotional component to this for Ohio State because the big story for the Buckeyes, Chase Young is back, perhaps the best player in America, back after serving that 2-game suspension. It was an NCAA rules violation. He's back in the fold. He missed the Maryland and Rutgers game. Ohio State did not miss him in those games. But obviously, when the talent is equated, Chase Young is a difference maker, Bill. And I'd imagine that's the biggest thing Ohio State is going to enjoy about him being on the field. Right, and it could be the biggest thing that Penn State has to guard against. So you know, for Chase Young, pressuring the quarterback, they're going to have to design their offense to protect their quarterback, to protect Clifford. And you can do that with an extra tight end, an extra back in there, but Chase Young is a difference maker, and Penn State has to prepare for him. And let's talk about that very quickly, Bill. With Penn State, when you're building an offensive game plan, and there's a guy like number 2 on the field who sometimes moves around in formation, and you don't know where he's going to line up, if you're the offensive coordinator for Penn State, Bill, how does that wreck your plan? Well, it really does, because you have to have your protection wherever he's at. You got to be able to make a call at the line of scrimmage. So you definitely have to do that. And also, you've got to make sure in your game plan there's enough of a short passing attack to try to slow a guy like him down. Maybe some more screens, some draws, some things like that. So from the Ohio State perspective, Bill, as you look at Saturday, what is the biggest key for the Buckeyes to get to 11-0? How do they beat Penn State? Well, obviously, Sean Clifford is the guy that really makes it go on offense. And he'll hurt you with his feet, too, just as Justin Fields will hurt teams. So you got to put pressure on him, especially in situations where third downs, situations to keep drives alive. You've got to obviously get after Sean Clifford. That's the key. And then balance on offense for Ohio State? Yeah, because the one thing Penn State has given up a lot of yards in the passing game, but the only time a passing game is good is if you can establish a running attack too, and they have a great front seven, so we've got to find a way of moving the ball on. And Penn State's number 1 in the country, or number 1 in the Big Ten, I should say, against the run, Bill. But Ohio State's already played that when they played Wisconsin earlier this year. They came in number 1 in the country against the run. They ran all day. This is a team that seems to embrace those kind of challenges. Yeah, and obviously up front, the Ohio State offensive line has done a great job, not only opening holes, but also in pass protection. So they've really got to play against probably their best overall defensive front that they've seen all year. One other question about this matchup, Bill. When you look at the Big Ten race, for example, there's so much focused on this one game. Obviously, for Ohio State fans, you know what's coming next week, and that's the game. But in terms of what matters in your season and having a great finish this season, they got to win this one, because this is the road to the Big Ten championship game in Indy. Absolutely. Everybody knows the Michigan game is a season itself, and it always is, no matter what the records are. But this game makes that last game not seem as important if you don't win it. So it's all out to win this game. Interesting, Bill. We'll come back and actually I'll give you one more question here. Yep. We're going to talk to Penn State in just a moment, get their side of this game, because there's a definite look. This game has been decided the past 3 years by a grand total of 5 points.
Yep. And
they've come out on the short end the past 2 years in games where they had 2-score leads on the Buckeyes in the fourth quarter and did not win.
Right.
Can you imagine how motivational that is for their side?
Yeah, well, I think what you just said is the key, fourth quarter. You have a situation where Penn State the last few weeks have struggled in the fourth quarter to maintain their lead, and in case against Minnesota didn't convert to win it. For Ohio State, the starters haven't played a fourth quarter yet. So really, it's going to go down the fourth quarter one way or the other.
That's very interesting. Bill Conley, our Buckeye football analyst here in Columbus, joining us here. We're going to talk more about Penn State coming up in a few minutes. We're going to skip ahead here in the CFP rankings. We're not going to go in order because that would be silly. There is no order. No. It's a disorder in the ranking system. We're going to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. Right now, the number 4 team in the rankings. And look, they got some big tests ahead. Bulldogs looking strong here, obviously. Scoring defense in the number 2 in the country, allowing barely 10 points per game. So much talent there. 3rd in the nation against the run. They are awfully stout, but you know the Bulldogs have a lot coming up for them here in these next few weeks, including the SEC championship game. And defense is why the Dogs are in this playoff hunt. They were tested against Auburn this past week. Again, they passed that test. Jack Patterson, our sports anchor at WRBL, gives us a look at what awaits the Dogs next.
The Georgia Bulldogs barely escaped the Plains with a 21-14 win over their rivals at Auburn. While it wasn't pretty, for right now, it was enough to keep the Dogs inside the top 4 in the college football playoff. That 7-point win over the Tigers sealed up Georgia's 3rd straight SEC East title and another shot for Kirby Smart to bring home his 2nd conference title to Athens. It's a feat that many Georgia players still can't believe, but many experts believe a SEC title would give Georgia a seat in the playoff. But before then, the Bulldogs have to host a tough Texas A&M team at home. The Aggies are 7-3 on the year, and quarterback Kellen Mond's growth under Jimbo Fisher has been remarkable and something that Kirby Smart has taken note of.
He has probably improved as much as a player from high school to now as any quarterback I've ever seen. I liken it to when Dak first went to Mississippi State and Dan took him and did all these really good things with him. Jimbo has really, this kid has a tremendous arm talent. We know the athlete he is. We know he can run, but that's not, it's not like you say, well, this guy's a runner first. He's a really good passer.
The Dogs are currently 13.5-point favorites going into Saturday's showdown between the hedges, the first time these two teams have squared off in the SEC. For the Gridiron Nation, I'm Jack Patterson.
Jack, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. And if Georgia wins out, then they beat LSU in the SEC title game. They're going to be in the playoff. The resume will be too good in all likelihood. A&M, Georgia Tech upcoming here the next couple weeks. Let's go to those cardiac kids from Norman. They continue to hang in the race. The Sooners rallying from a 28-3 deficit at Baylor Saturday to win the game and stay alive in the CFP race. Their offense is a machine. 581 yards per game by a good amount, actually. The best in the country this year, scoring 47 points per game. And if they can win out, their playoff chances are quite good. Here's K4 Sports Director Brian Brinkley.
Oklahoma is coming off the largest comeback win in school history last Saturday. The Sooners trailed Baylor by 25 points in the second quarter and gradually chipped away at that deficit. They played a nearly perfect second half, especially on defense. Of Baylor's 5 possessions in the second half, 3 ended in 3-and-outs and 2 ended in turnovers. OU's defensive leader is linebacker Kenneth Murray, who said OU's 2 previous close games against Kansas State and Iowa State helped them handle the adversity against Baylor.
I feel like, Kansas State, we were down and things weren't going our way, and, we fought our way back, and we ended up being pretty much, one play away from getting right back into that game. And so, that kind of opened our eyes to, what we can do as a team. And, going down early versus Baylor, we knew that, as long as we just kept the faith, continue to believe, that, we were going to eventually, fight our way back into the game and continue to fight, and it'll work out in our favor.
Oklahoma will be back home this Saturday night for another primetime game as they host TCU at 7 o'clock Central Time in Norman. OU quarterback Jalen Hurts was named the Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week for his play against Baylor, accounting for more than 400 yards in total offense. But he also committed 3 big turnovers, and he knows both he and his teammates have to be better down the stretch to have any hopes of making the playoffs.
Talk about when we play with the right focus, unwavering energy, poise, just the right type of execution. I think we're one of the best in the country. With that being said, I also understand that I don't think we've yet to play our best ball. I think that we're not satisfied. We know we have to eliminate these self-inflicted wounds we impose on ourselves. So that's why we practice. So we got an opportunity to fix the things we need to fix, take another step as a team.
One thing trending in Oklahoma's favor is their recent success late in the season. The Sooners enter this Saturday's game with a 19-game winning streak in the month of November. And over the last 20 seasons, they've won 85% of their games in November. The OU head coach says it's not an accident.
I think we believe in ourselves. I think we believe in that regardless of how the game's going, good, bad, whatever, that we can find a way to do it. I've said a lot. We've really worked hard to try to improve throughout the years, and a lot of times these November games tend to be against the best teams too, and so we've done it against some good competition. We had obviously played a great team the other night. We're getting ready to play a really good football team here coming up again. So I mean, we found a way. I do think it's some of the culture in this place and the teams that we've had and players that have, winning games and having a chance to win a championship at the end of the season has been of the utmost importance to them.
The Sooners know their playoff chances are not great at this point, but they also know all they can do is take care of their own business. Oklahoma hosts TCU this Saturday. Then they visit rival Oklahoma State for the Bedlam game to end the regular season. Then a likely rematch with Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. Jared, back to you.
Brian, well done, sir. Appreciate that. Now to the defending national champions who have not lost a game since the 2018 national title game. Clemson continues to roll. Remarkably balanced, highly ranked offense and defense. In fact, they're the best team in America in getting first downs and limiting first downs defensively. Just off a home rout of Wake Forest last week, Pete Yannity watched it all unfold, the longtime sports director at WSPA, the official station of the Tigers. And Pete joins us live to talk about the Tigers. And Pete, there were early season struggles for this team. They threw more interceptions than they'd like. How have they changed the course here?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. There were some early season struggles. They were still demolishing teams not called North Carolina. But they had an open date back in early October after that North Carolina win that they escaped Chapel Hill by a point. And since then, it's been pretty much smooth sailing. They're outgaining the opposition on the season by over 3,500 yards, and they've really increased that number over these past 6 games since the open date. But a more telling stat is they have outscored their opponents something like 315 to 50 over the past 6 games. And really, quite frankly, the ball games have been over by mid-second quarter. The outcome was pretty much what we knew it would be.
It's a remarkably talented football team, Pete. And then you look at the defense, right? They just returned 4 starters from last year. All those guys from that incredible defensive line, they're now playing on Sundays. Yet here they are statistically near the top of the country. How have they grown up so fast, Pete?
Well, they had some key guys coming back that I think folks overlooked. Plus the fact that the 4 who moved on to the NFL, the guys behind them, because last year many of the wins were blowouts, well, those guys got a lot of experience. But the guy who I think has been the biggest story on their defense, Isaiah Simmons. He's one of these guys in the NFL. He may be a safety, kind of a strong safety. At this level, he plays some linebacker. He plays some safety, but for the most part, he's a linebacker. Isaiah Simmons is having a National Player of the Year defensively kind of season. That's how good he's been, and he's been living in the opposition's backfield. He's done well when he's had to drop back in pass coverage, but he has been the kind of that glue guy. And the folks they had coming back in the secondary, a guy named Tanner Muse, he's been around here since 2015, the year he redshirted. Another safety called Kayvon Wallace. And then the 2 corners, they converted a wide receiver, Darian Kendrick, who's as athletic as anyone on the team. And they also have a guy, A.J. Terrell, who you remember had the pick 6 early in last year's national title game to kind of set the tone in that win. Those guys were all integral in terms of adding some calm to the Brent Venables defense. But at the end of the day, the guy who's doing the X's and O's, Brent Venables, it really makes you wonder if Oklahoma wishes they'd not made the move they did that forced him to head this way back in 2012, because he's really been something, and rarely do you see a guy out of position.
Yeah, undoubtedly true there. Boy, that's a lot of talent you rattle off there for Clemson, and it seems like really The biggest challenge for the Tigers, Pete, is boredom. I mean, they should coast to the playoff, it would seem. It looks like it's a pretty clear path for them. And obviously, Coach Dabo Swinney, he's a master motivator. How has he tried to combat that?
He's dropped in a few little side stories as the year's gone on, and Dabo is, as you say, he's a good motivator. He's an excellent marketer. He's an excellent communicator. This season really has had very few hiccups, whereas last year they went unbeaten. They had the little quarterback issue when the guy who was returning ended up going into the transfer portal because he realized the freshman was beating him out. Trevor Lawrence at the time was a freshman. But Dabo along the way has tried to throw a few different side stories out there that have gotten folks' attention. The thing about this program is that they've gotten used to winning so big. They follow that template, and for lack of a better term, I mean, they pretty much go on the field expecting to be ahead by 3 touchdowns at halftime. That's the other remarkable thing. In the second half of the season, I told you they're outscoring their opponents like 315 to 58 is the exact number. Mm-hmm. At halftime of these past 6 games, they basically had a lead of 66% to 33%. In other words, they have literally had these games done by the break. But another thing Dabo Swinney motivates with well is his roster and his depth chart. Usually you hear that from a negative standpoint, but they're playing 70, 75, 80 guys a game because by the third quarter, the outcome's not in question. So you'd be amazed how many walk-ons have reasonable stats on the defensive depth chart especially, because they're in there by the third quarter and playing about 3 or 4 series and getting 4 or 5 tackles sometimes in a game.
Yeah, Pete, they have built a machine there at Clemson. Pete Yannity from WSPA. Thanks so much for joining us, Pete. Appreciate your time today. And Clemson is down to 1 regular season game. It's against their rivals from South Carolina. Then the ACC title game. By far, again, looks like the most manageable path to the playoff we'll be seeing here. So obviously a year ago, Clemson beat Alabama for the national title. Bama has become the national story this week due to the awful hip injury to quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and the changes for the resume now. The playoff committee is going to have to evaluate a different Alabama team. But when you look at what they've done this year, they have been excellent. They've scored 47 points per game this season. That'll do just fine. Simone Eli, sports reporter at CBS 42 in Birmingham. She joins us now live to talk about Bama. And the first question, Simone, is quite obvious. Do we even really know yet how much Tua's injury is going to affect the way the committee will evaluate Alabama?
I'm not sure if we know yet, but I think we definitely do know that the committee takes injuries into effect. We've seen it in the past. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa was that Alabama offense. He had a ton of weapons around him, but he is by far one of the best passers in the entire country. So I think we know it's going to affect Alabama, but just how much? I was very surprised personally to see Alabama stay at number 5, but I think the reason they did is because the committee, although they say they don't do this, they're setting up an easier path for themselves down the road to potentially drop Alabama below Oregon, seeing how they do in the Pac-12, or below Oklahoma, seeing how they do in the Big 12. So will it affect Alabama? Yes, it certainly will. Just how much, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, not having Tua in the sport is definitely a bummer for everybody who follows the sport. Mac Jones, now the quarterback of the Tide, he's played pretty well when he was in games earlier in the year. Let's go to the other side. Let's talk defense. Bama sent a bunch of guys to the NFL last year, very similar to Clemson, what they did. So it is a younger defense this year. Does that explain why they maybe haven't controlled games like we would expect, or is it maybe a little bit more than just youth? I don't think it's just youth, to be honest with you. I think that the young linebackers that had to step in because of preseason injuries have done quite well. They've settled in. They've made some huge plays for Alabama on that side of the ball. The real breakdown that I think I've seen and that Nick Saban has discussed is in the secondary. We definitely saw that against LSU. Granted, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country in Joe Burrow, but there was a lot of breakdown in communication in the secondary. Veteran players, guys who are going to go to the NFL next year and make a lot of money, were really disappointed against LSU and in some other games. They were definitely tested in that LSU game. So I'm not going to put it on the youth entirely. I think there are some veterans where we've seen some issues with on that side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Simone, this is a question that I think we've all been thinking about here. You think about in the playoff era, some teams have had to do remarkable things in that final week to grab the committee's attention. Years ago, when Ohio State beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, beat them 59-0, that was the giant flag screaming at the committee, put us in the playoff, and it worked. They got in, they won the national title. So does Alabama have to do something similar, something special in the Auburn game to get the committee's attention?
Yeah, Alabama has to prove that they can win with Mac Jones at quarterback. And if they can, their only chance they have is against Auburn. This week's game against Western Carolina, hopefully just a tune-up for Mac Jones. But he has to go to Auburn against one of the best defenses in the entire country and some veteran guys up front who are very, very good, and get it done on the plains in a hostile environment. And then cross your fingers and hope that that's going to be enough to convince the committee that we belong in the top 4 with our backup quarterback and not one of the Heisman front runners who's out with a horrible injury. So definitely an opportunity for Alabama to prove that they belong in the conversation. Will it be enough? Still, I think there's a lot to be told. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to be having a lot of fun following the Iron Bowl this year, as we always do. Simone Eli, thanks so much for joining us there from Birmingham. And the path ahead for Alabama, okay, they're not going to be in the SEC title game. We know that. They basically have just the Iron Bowl here to show their strength with Mac Jones at quarterback, as we alluded to there. Let's go to the Pac-12. Oregon, very much in the hunt. They've won 9 straight after a season-opening loss to Auburn, a game they probably should have won. And they've done it with defense and efficiency, tied for second in the country in turnover margin this year. A.J. McCord covers the Oregon Ducks for Coin TV in Portland, and she joins us now in the new home of Carmelo Anthony, by the way, Portland. A.J. joins us to talk about Oregon, and we'll start at quarterback. Justin Herbert started the year as one of the guys at the head of the Heisman race. We all remember that. So he doesn't have maybe a great Heisman candidacy anymore, but still 28 passing touchdowns this year. That's 7th best in the country. So, A.J., how would you measure his season this year?
I think he's done exactly what Oregon has needed him to do, which is get them to the point where they are in the hunt for the college football playoff berth. Now, like you mentioned, 28 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions in that time. He's had 3 300-plus passing games, including Arizona this past week, and he is still ranked 11th out of 100 on the Sports Illustrated Top 100. So this is a guy who's doing everything that Oregon needs to do, and I actually spoke with him after the game on Saturday, and we talked about what made him decide to come back to Eugene instead of making the decision to go pro, and all the reasons that he had then still stands. He believes that this team can get to the college football playoff, and everything else, the Heisman talk, the awards, the midseason things, none of that matters to Justin Herbert. He just wants to get his team to the college football playoff. So by his standards, he's having a pretty good year.
Yeah, I would say so. He's a remarkable athlete, too. So, look, there's this thing about East Coast bias, and we know that people on the East Coast don't necessarily watch the late-night Pac-12 games, and they kind of presume that they're all offensive shootouts, right? 60-50 every game. Not the case, and certainly not the case with Oregon. The Ducks are better on defense than people think. They're top 15 this year in total defense. AJ, how have they shut people down?
Well, Andy Avalos has brought a defensive scheme to this program that has they've just soaked it up from every single facet. Troy Dye, one of the defensive leaders for Oregon, can always tell me just how good Avalos is at creating schemes for them, at doing what works for the players, and making sure this team plays as a unit. It's why they lead the nation in interceptions with 17, and 11 different players have caught those interceptions. So this is a huge defensive front and defensive unit that's playing together, and so therefore they're absolutely dominating almost every time they touch the field. They've only allowed 2 second-half touchdowns when they've played at home this year. So the stats just line up that this defense is one to be reckoned with, and one that they think they can take outside the Pac-12 and still have success with.
Yeah, Washington the other night against Arizona, they put on a show there. If they win out, talking about Oregon, AJ, if they win out and they beat Utah in impressive fashion in that Pac-12 title game upcoming, do you think it is a strong enough resume where they can get into the top 4?
I do when you look at the other resumes as well, right? They've got 3 SEC teams in front of them, Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. If Alabama does not make the championship for the SEC, it's a hard sell for me to say that you can put them into the college football playoff, especially with the injury to Tua. LSU should win out, and if LSU dominates Georgia in the SEC championship game, then I think Oregon has as big of a shot as Georgia to get into the college football playoff, especially when you look at the losses. Georgia's one loss to a South Carolina team at home. Oregon's one loss the first week of the season, and against an Auburn team that is still ranked. Now, if Auburn beats Alabama in the Iron Bowl, all the better for the Ducks. So I think that Oregon still has a path to the college football playoffs, but a lot of it is outside of their control, and the best thing they can do is just win out and prove that they belong there by beating the opponents they've got in front of them.
But you're right, AJ. That is a remarkable resume they'll put together to be left out of the playoff. That would be something the committee would have to do some explaining for. A.J. McCord there in Portland. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon, A.J. And Oregon's path to the Pac-12 title game, it's very manageable. Games with Arizona State and, of course, the Oregon State game at the finale there. And then that's a Friday night Pac-12 title game where they'll face, in all likelihood, the Utah Utes, who also, by the way, very much in this college football playoff rundown, if you will, when you consider what they've done this year. They're 9-1. They're obviously their next two. They got Arizona, then they go home to Colorado. Their loss this year is at USC. Their resume also lacking a, let's call it a significant win, but still an excellent season, and a win over Oregon at the end would absolutely boost their candidacy for it. Now, the other side of the Ohio State-Penn State game Saturday is this. Penn State very much in the CFP discussion, but only if they can come to the Horseshoe and ruin Ohio State's season. Ranked number 8 this week, Nittany Lions taking a loss at Minnesota 2 weeks ago and having to overcome some major challenges against Indiana last week. But they're the best rush defense in the Big Ten. We talked about that earlier. And, of course, quarterback Sean Clifford has done a very nice job in his first year as a starter there. With that, let's go to State College to talk with Peter Terpstra from WTAJ-TV. Covers the Nittany Lions every day. The Lions put on one of the great drives, Peter, you're ever going to see to close a game Saturday when they beat Indiana. Yeah. And Clifford manufactured that. He's going to now match up against his home state school. You know he's going to be excited for that. But how has he evolved in the quarterback role this year?
Just kind of look at his situation. He doesn't know clear cut that he's going to be the starter heading into this season. You had that quarterback competition between him and Tommy Stevens, and of course Tommy Stevens left. And I think the folks here in Happy Valley really weren't surprised, because what we saw from Sean Clifford in limited action last year was all you could want. I mean, he completed every single pass. I think he threw like 5 or 6 passes until the bowl game, and that pass bounced off the receiver's hands on a deep route. But Sean Clifford has been probably better than folks would expect this season. The big thing is that he's been able to keep plays alive and get first downs, and he's done a lot with his legs. He has more rushing yards than Trace McSorley had back in 2016 when Penn State won the Big Ten championship. So that's crazy, because you look at the guy and you would think that he's more of a passer, pocket passer, and he is. He's really good at that, but he's been very calculated with his running ability. That's where I think people are most surprised, and he's just made really good decisions. I mean, throw out the Minnesota game where he threw those 3 interceptions, cost them the game, but he's been very solid in his decision making, and when you're surrounded by playmakers and there's a lot of talent here in Happy Valley, things are going to go well for you, and things have been going really well for Sean Clifford so far. Yeah, guys like Hamler and Farmuse certainly make that easier for him, but he's been a tremendous surprise for Penn State this year. Let's talk defense now, Peter. Micah Parsons, we all know about him. He's an absolute 5-star stud for Penn State, and against the run, they have smothered teams, but against the pass, they have had some issues pop up recently. How concerning is that for this week? Well, it's got to be some concern, right? Like the last 2 weeks, you've really seen teams exploit Penn State on the back end with the passing attack. And you asked Coach Franklin about it, and it's not like it's one thing, right? Minnesota probably did the best job at game planning against that Penn State defense, where they were doing a lot of RPO, run pass option, getting the ball out very quick, because that Penn State pass rush is really, really good, and you can't just stand back in the pocket and let those guys come after you. So I think teams have really done a great job game planning, getting the ball out early, right? So that's one way to do it. And then you've had some breakdowns in coverage, right? I mean, a guy doesn't have 200-plus receiving yards in a game from Minnesota unless, something's going wrong, right? We asked Coach Franklin earlier this week in the weekly press conference, how do you kind of differentiate between a trend and maybe just a few mistakes? And Coach Franklin doesn't really think it's a trend, just the last 2 games, and it's been kind of different problems each way. But if Penn State's going to beat Ohio State, you got to have everything go right. I mean, that's kind of the feeling right now in Happy Valley. Yeah, no turnovers, that's for sure, Peter. And look, it's obvious for Penn State, right? Yeah. Motivation is no problem this week. They had 2-score leads the past 2 years in the fourth quarter and did not win. You have to understand how angry that's going to make a team, and motivated when they come to Columbus this weekend. Has that really been a rallying cry there? Has that been something? Or are they trying to just put that aside and just say this is a new year? Well, I think it's a combination of different things. Coach Franklin is all about his cliche 1-0 deal. You know, every game's the Super Bowl. You can't look ahead. I mean, the coaches love that, right? And obviously, it's worked for Coach Franklin. He's won a lot of football games. I think 1-0 is going to be on his tombstone someday, whenever. But I will say that you gotta remember how these games ended if you're a player. I mean, it's easy motivation. To lose by 1 point the last 2 years, and especially coming off that Big Ten championship year, Coach Franklin's only beaten Ohio State once in his career, and we all remember that game with the blocked field goal. Yes, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that there's going to be a chip on the shoulder of the Penn State team. Whether they say it's just another game or not, and they have, and they will, and they always will, you can't forget the recent history, and you know that in the offseason, Coach Franklin and his staff have looked at Ohio State and thought, you know, these guys have gotten us the last few years. How do we stop that? And added some extra attention to that.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredibly fun game, Peter. Thanks so much for joining us here live. We'll see you at the Horseshoe Saturday. That's going to be quite the scene. All the big pregame shows are in town. Oh, yeah. All the big pregame shows are here tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Penn State, by the way, closes their season with Rutgers next week. And if they beat Ohio State, they're going to have the inside track to the Big Ten championship game. So that's what we'll be watching unfold over the next few hours and days here. Coach Bill Conley rejoins me here in studio for a final thought here on what we are looking for this weekend. Bill, obviously, it's not a great college football weekend in terms of the matchups other than Ohio State, Penn State. That's the big game. And then next we get all the rivalry games. And those will be tremendously impactful on this playoff race.
Oh, exactly right. And this is the time of year. And Woody used to say it best of all. He said the contenders play their best ball in November. And so we'll see who the real contenders are.
Yeah.
Next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no choking up against your against your rivals. You got to keep moving there. And then also, Bill, the value of the championship games. Early on, they were considered a cash grab, not that big a deal. Nowadays, if you're not in one, you're out.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can have a great season, but if you don't make the playoffs, it's not as successful as what you might think. It's crazy how this whole thing's got.
Yeah, one last thought on Ohio State, Penn State, Bill.
Right.
When you think about the impact of that game, you have it scheduled right up at the end for Ohio State specifically. They got Michigan the next week. That's a big emotional high to try to go back up another level to get ready for the Maize and Blue the following week.
Yeah, not only is it an emotional high, but you got to be physically ready to play your two most physical games of the year.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a two-edged hammer there. I'll tell you, you got to really get after it.
Now, Ohio State's an 18-point favorite in that game against Penn State. 18 points.
Those people usually out there in Vegas know what they're saying.
They've got a lot of tall buildings for a reason.
Yeah.
Coach Bill Conley here joining us. Thanks so much for joining us all around the country today across Nexstar Nation. We're going to watch it unfold here this weekend. And then next week, we'll join you again next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern time. We'll start it across Nexstar Nation. Things are going to change a little bit this weekend. Perhaps we'll be documenting that for you here on the Gridiron Nation Path to the Playoff. We'll see you next week.